ready for true happiness, for deep fulfillment, for feeling alive, on purpose, and in control of your life again? It's time to be the bold, brilliant, beautiful woman you were born to be. Welcome to the PurposeGirl Podcast. I'm women's happiness and life purpose expert Karen Rockhind, and I'm going to teach you how to live on purpose, feel alive, and be happy in every aspect of life. I'm going to get real about my life and interview women who are living on purpose so that you can finally live yours. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Purpose Girls. I'm so excited about today's episode because it is my favorite topic, purpose. It has been a while since we did a topic on purpose, and I had this incredible call with a woman just a couple of days ago. She is in her 20s and so full of life, yet so not allowing herself to live. She is a mom to 2 beautiful children. She is a loving partner. She is dedicated at her work. And she feels like she is lost, like she is completely unalive. And the call inspired me as she and I talked about who she is underneath, her dreams, even not even knowing what her dreams are, but just feeling like she wants this sense of aliveness, this sense of happiness. She wants to make her own difference in the world. And of course, she loves her children. She loves her partner. She loves her life and feels even a little bit guilty for saying that she wants more. She is inspiring me to bring to you why purpose is so important, why I am obsessed with purpose, and why really I think the world is a little obsessed with purpose and why we need to be. So we have an amazing episode for you today. First, though, I want to celebrate the Purpose Girl Podcast was number 4 in self-help and number 5 in health in Chile this week. So thank you to all of the women there who are listening and to all of you around the world who are leaving reviews, who are rating the Purpose Girl Podcast 5 stars, who are telling your friends, who are telling your daughters, your mothers, every woman you know to listen to the Purpose Girl Podcast, because that's how we are creating a community around the world of women who are empowering themselves, right? This is about you empowering yourself to become the brilliant, bold, alive, purposeful, happy woman that you were born to be. So with that, let me get to the review of the week. 5-star review entitled Beautiful from Erin Tonda in the United States. Erin says, listen to Happiness is a Choice this morning, and it was everything. Such a great podcast with real life examples and tools to reframe your negativity bias. Karen is an authentic voice in the world of positive psychology and a gift to us all. Oh, Erin, I love you. Do yourself a solid and listen in and join her Purpose Girl Facebook page too. Wow. Erin, I adore you. Thank you. It means the world to me to read these. And the reason that I read these is because as Erin leaves her 5-star review, someone in Chile, someone in Korea, someone in Nigeria, someone in Portland, Oregon is reading that and saying, oh, I want to live my purpose, or, ooh, I've been feeling stuck. I've been feeling lost, or, oh, I want more to life. And so any one of those women reading Erin's review makes that woman want to click on the Purpose Girl Podcast. And that's why I read these reviews, and I'm asking you to just pause this episode for 2 minutes, hop on over to Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star review, just one sentence about why you love the Purpose Girl Podcast. It helps so much for more women around the world to find us and therefore to become the women that they were born to be. And as each woman steps into her power, steps into her feminine strengths, steps into her purpose, she then makes a greater impact in empowering her children, empowering her neighbors, empowering her colleagues, empowering her friends, and everyone around her to do so. And that's how we're changing the world, one woman at a time. So today's episode is all about you living your purpose. We are going to dive into what purpose is because I know it's so complex. It's like something we all want and yet is so elusive. We are going to dive into why it matters, and I am going to give you the steps to how to actually discover your purpose. So if you are someone out there and you're like, oh, I would love to live on purpose. Oh, I'd love to know what it is I'm really supposed to be doing. I hate my job. You're not alone, and this episode will help you. And as always, if you want more, that's when to head over to PurposeGirl.com and download your free Living on Purpose guide. If you want more, to contact me. Let's talk about what it would look like if I were to support you in one of my coaching packages or in a class. Like, we cannot do this alone. I didn't do this alone, and you don't have to do this alone. You have a community. You have me as your coach. Let's do this. So, purpose. I want you to pause for a moment, and I want you to think about your 80th birthday party. When you are your 80th birthday party, and you are looking back at your life. Hopefully it's not over, but you're looking back at all you've done, the way that you lived, how you showed up, who you spent time with, and you're going to give a toast. What is it that you want to be able to say about your life? What is it that you want to be able to say about what you accomplished? What is it that you want to be able to say about who you were, who you are? Who do you want in the room? And this is so important because this question was a huge turning point for me. As you know, if you've been listening to the Purpose Girl podcast for a while, as you know, I was living the life I was supposed to live. I had this quote unquote great corporate job. I was making great money. I owned my own condo. I had a boat. I had been married before, and I had a series of monogamous one-year relationships with, great guys. And I was so lost. I felt so empty, like something was so missing. And it felt that way because even though I could say, well, I've won this award, well, I made the company this much money, well, I did X, Y, and Z for my employees, I own this boat, I could list the checklist. Inside, it felt like there was something more that I was supposed to do. Inside, I had this yearning, this craving to make a difference, to make an impact. And it's not that I wasn't making a difference, right? You could ask, hopefully, the people in my team at work, and they felt like I was making a difference in their lives. And the work that I did the last few years in corporate had a very altruistic bent to it. And so I was certainly making a difference with that work. But it wasn't my difference. It wasn't what really fueled me, what lit me up, what made me feel alive. And so even though it was good work, even though I was making an impact, and certainly I hope on my friends and my family, there was more inside of me. And the more inside of me was this desperate desire to make my own unique impact that was something that would light me up, something that felt like when I look back at my life, I could say, darned, I really did it. I really went for it. I really made the impact that I wanted to make. I really did something. I left a legacy. And that is what drove me ultimately to pursue this question of who am I? What am I all about? What do I want in my life? How do I want to make a difference? And what I ultimately thought of, I had so many friends at the time. I was in my 30s and all my friends were either married, getting married, having babies. There were a lot of babies at the time. And maybe those of you who are in your 30s, and if you've been wanting a partnership or you've been wanting babies, you can resonate with this feeling. There was a whole feeling like something's wrong with me because I'm not pursuing that, or maybe I should pursue that. And then I would get into another 1-year long-term relationship with someone who I could have married and had babies, but then felt like, oh, this is not for me. And it was very confusing at the time and it felt all crappy. But I had this thought of looking ahead. And I thought, when I die, oh my God, it's bringing me to tears just thinking about this. I thought, when I die, I want 1 million women to say I changed their lives. I want women all over the world to say that they lived better because I had been alive. And I don't know why that's choking me up, but it is. And we won't edit it out. But that's really what I deeply, deeply, most deeply desire in life. And I want you to have that same epiphany. And that's why, as we get into in a little bit what the process is for really identifying your purpose, epiphanies are part of it. And so feel into that question when you are toward the end of your life. What is it that you most want people to say about you? What is it that you most want to have done in terms of impact? And if you don't know yet, that's totally okay. That's why we do the Purpose Girl podcast. That's why I coach women to discover their purpose. That's why I have an upcoming live event that we're going to be telling you about. That's why I have the Living on Purpose course that you can get at purposegirl.com. That's why people work with me one-on-one or come to my retreats like the Goddess Girls Retreat. This is why, because we need help. I needed help to discover this. So purpose, each of us has a unique purpose for our lives, right? Like no two people have the same set of fingerprints, and the same is true that no two people have the exact same set of strengths and talents and passions and life experience that's given you wisdom that someone else needs. I saw this amazing Instagram post yesterday that said something to the effect of, your painful story is going to be the survival guide for someone else to live their life. And I'm paraphrasing, but it was like, yes, right? So my painful story of shifting from my first marriage into discovering my purpose and going through armed robbery so that you don't ever live your life with regret is hopefully a map then for you. And however you have lived your life is the same. Thinking of one of my clients who joined my Empowered group, and she was in her 60s and said, I have no idea like what my purpose is. And she had done a beautiful job of raising her daughter with special needs. She had done a beautiful job of working for others in her life, and almost laughed at herself. Like, why in my 60s am I, pursuing my purpose now? And it's because we have this hunger, right? As her daughter was able to live on her own. And then it was, well, and who am I? What contribution do I want to make? And as she shared with the other women who were mostly in their 30s and 40s, her life, and she did the exercises that we do in the Empowered program and the outline that we're going to talk about a little bit in the podcast episode, she shared her life story, and her strengths shone through, and her experiences and her wisdom from having lived with an abusive partner, having raised a daughter with special needs. The other mothers in the group were in tears. They got such an aha moment from hearing her experience that they identified some of their own purpose. So no two people can make the exact same contribution in the world. And that is true of her, and it's true of me, and it's true of you. This is how we change the world one woman at a time. Unfortunately, though, most people are not living their purpose. Right? And just think about your work. Do you love what you do for a living? It's where we spend the majority of time. So do you love it? Do you enjoy it? Do you feel like this is for me? Unfortunately, most people don't. Research from the Gallup organization shows that about 70% of all people are not actively engaged in their work. They're like, just kind of going along with the motions. It's okay. It's fine. It's what I do for money. But why are we here on earth? Why were we born at this time if not to really love what we do? And I'm not saying every day I'm super happy and every day I, am over the moon about every task I need to do for my work. Some of it is, kind of dry, right? I get to do these fun things like my podcast and speaking at corporations and speaking at conferences and doing my one-on-one coaching and retreats. And actually all of that it is all really fun. And then there's taxes, right? So it's not that every single bit is the most fun. And overall, I am engaged in what I do. And I want you to be engaged in what you do. I want everyone to be engaged in what you do, because could you imagine a world in which it was 70% are engaged, 70% love what they do, 70% are so excited? No, I'm not saying there are people who are doing you're doing everything you can to scrape by. And my heart is to you. And I believe that while you do that, you can still be thinking about what else you would want to do that would light you up. And I'm not saying every road is easy. If you need to go back to school or finances are an issue, absolutely not. And while you're doing whatever you're doing to beautifully put a roof over your head and food on the table, you can be, even as a hobby or on the side, pursuing the things that you love. Doesn't mean you have to make money at it, but you would be able to tolerate whatever job you're in so much more if you were writing your poetry on the side and you were submitting it to magazines. You'd be able to live through those 10 hours a day or 8 hours a day so much more if 2 hours a week You gave yourself the gift of doing the woodworking and building furniture, as one of my clients has been doing in her garage. She found this passion through being in the Empowered program with me and really discovering her desire to create and to build. And now she's turned her garage. Yeah, she has a child and she has a husband, and they've turned their garage into her studio to create and to build. And it makes her so happy. She discovered this inner artist in her. And so this is how, right? We ask ourselves as women, how can I have it all? We have it all by first and foremost knowing what all is to us. And it's not a checklist. All is knowing, who am I? What am I all about? What is my purpose? And then being so committed to pursuing it in some way or another. And what we know about purpose is that people who live their purpose have better health. People who live their purpose have greater life satisfaction. In fact, research from 2011 showed that even on the crappiest days, if you feel like your life is purposeful, you are pursuing your purpose, then you identify as saying, overall, my life is satisfying. So you could be having a crappy day. I mean, you all know I've been on a fertility journey, and I have had lots of crappy days with that and other situations in my life, right? But because overall I still have purpose, that's probably why I got choked up earlier. I still am overall satisfied with life. And that's what I want for you. But unfortunately, too many people are not living their purpose and don't even know what it is or where to start. And that's why we do the Purpose Girl podcast and the Living on Purpose course and the Purpose Girls Facebook group. And in desperate search for purpose, research shows that people are depressed. So do you identify with this? If you have been searching for purpose, have you been feeling down? Have you been feeling depressed? Have you been feeling lost? Like you look in the mirror, you don't recognize yourself. Have you been feeling stuck? Have you been feeling anxious? All of this is common when people want purpose and haven't been finding it. And in this group of people wanting purpose, unfortunately, are too many women. Women who have, quote unquote, everything, right? Like the beautiful young woman I talked about at the beginning of the call. She has her home, she has her kids. And I do not want any of us to say she should just be satisfied with what she has. I mean, when she and I talked, I said, it is both and. You are grateful for what you have, and there's something inside of you that wants to come out. And this is why we look at purpose, and this is why we pursue it. We each have a desire. According to Maslow, Abraham Maslow was one of the most famous psychologists of all times. And he identified that we all have needs, and our highest need, beyond achievement, beyond checking the boxes, beyond success, beyond money, our highest need is to feel like we are contributing to something greater than ourselves, to feel like we're making a difference, that we are self-actualized, as he called it. And this is living our purpose. And when we do so, that's when we feel full of pride. That's when we feel satisfied. That's when we feel like life is fun. It's flirty. It's enjoyable. And that's why since the beginning of time, people have been on this search asking the question, who am I? And Aristotle, way back, right? Aristotle, one of the most famous philosophers that ever lived, he stated that what everyone is looking for is the state of happiness, or more what he called eudaimonia, translated as flourishing. And he said that eudaimonia, or flourishing, is acting in accordance with our highest virtue, the best in us. And he went on to describe that the best in us is our individual distinct potential. It is our gift that we offer the world, our unique purpose. And that's why it matters so much. That's why when you are not living to that full potential, when you are not in tune with who you are and your gifts to offer, or you're holding yourself back because you say, I don't have time, I don't have money, I don't have the ability, all of these things, that's why it feels so stuck. Viktor Frankl, one of the great psychologists of all time, he was a Holocaust survivor who wrote this incredible book coming out of the Holocaust called Man's Search for Meaning. And he stated that each person has a uniqueness, a singleness, which distinguishes each individual. And therefore, there is an impossibility of replacing him or her. There is an impossibility of replacing you. And so if you feel replaceable in your job, that anybody could do it, or you feel replaceable because that's how they treat you, or you feel like you're just a cog in a wheel in your family, just doing what has to get done, of course, then you feel stuck or lost. Purpose, though, fulfills our highest need. Purpose helps us have that sense of self-actualization. You know your gifts, you know your talents, and you're giving them to the world. As John Stuart Mill said, perhaps the only way to find true happiness is to have a purpose and aim larger than oneself. And that's why it's so important. So something I find over and over with women is that we want to do multiple things. We want multiple domains. Even within a career, I know so many women who say, oh, well, I want to teach and I want to hold workshops and I want to coach and I want to create art. And so it's like, well, which one do I have to pick? And so if we see purpose as any one thing, any one role or domain, it doesn't really work for women. Rather, when we see purpose as this overarching theme that is a verb that it begins with the word to, like to inspire, to teach, to support, to uphold, to create, then it fits into various domains. And that's what we're going for. We want that overarching theme in your life, and then we're going to look at all the ways that you can apply it. First, I'm going to take a short break from our sponsor, and then when I get back, I'm going to go through exactly how to do this. Live Happy is making your world a happier place. Live Happy is an online magazine that takes you on a journey to find your authentic happiness in life, at work, at home, and through inspiring stories and hands-on tips rooted in the science of positive psychology. We know from research that happier people are healthier, more satisfied in life with their relationships, and more successful in their careers. Research shows that happier people live longer, and happiness is a journey that anyone can take if you have the right tools. It starts with one step, and that's why I want you to check out livehappy.com. Live Happy delivers award-winning content, in-depth features, the latest news, and cutting research from the science of happiness. On livehappy.com, you'll find insightful articles from experts on well-being, covering topics like kindness, gratitude, mindfulness, strengths, and tons of book recommendations, lifestyle blogs, tech columns, practical advice. They also have incredible podcasts and the Live Happy store all in one place. Definitely check out the popular Live Happy Now podcast. It has won awards of distinction. It has featured people like Gretchen Rubin, Jack Kornfield, John Kabat-Zinn, me, amazing, amazing people that I'm in company with. And you can listen during your commute or anywhere. Plus, they have an amazing Live Happy store where you can get a gift for a teacher, a neighbor, a friend, a t-shirt that expresses your own positive radiance. Visit store.livehappy.com today, or just go to livehappy.com and you will find everything you need for happiness at livehappy.com. Getting back to our show. So we know that purpose fulfills that highest need to contribute to something larger. That purpose, especially for us women who are like in a social experiment trying to have it all, right? We have not had many examples, many generations of women before us who tried to have it all. Purpose gives us that because purpose is that overarching theme. And what we know from purpose is that purpose allows us, it gives us so much. It gives us the ability to prioritize our goals. It gives us the ability to make choices that feel in alignment with our heart and soul. It gives us the ability to bring our family along on a larger ride of doing something that contributes to the greater good. It gives us the ability to be resilient. So when we fail or we fall down or we make mistakes, purpose keeps us resilient. It says, okay, you made a mistake or you failed, but you've got a bigger mission to live, so get back on track. Purpose does all of these things for us. And because of that, purpose feels good, right? It makes your life feel meaningful. It gives you pride and excitement. And every woman I know wants to know that her life matters, that our lives matter, that beyond taking care of everyone else, we are making a difference. This client that I mentioned to you who came to me and had been working for her dad's company and taking care of her son, as we went to discover her purpose and how she could live it as a career. And she went on to apply to graduate school and apply to jobs where she was making a big difference, working in social impact. She had a moment of thinking, well, is this fair to my son that I pursue this? Her son is 2. Is it fair? And it was a tiny micro moment because she very quickly said, this is actually the best thing that I could do for my son. For him to see that I am pursuing my dreams, that I'm pursuing something larger, for him to be part of making the world a better place. That's actually the best thing that I could do for him. And it was so beautiful because I see so many women who hold themselves back and say, well, right now is the moment for me to, spend all my time, all my resources on my kids. And absolutely, I totally get it. And isn't part of spending that time and resources on your kids actually spending it on yourself? Because when you do, they start to see that you aren't just saying, pursue your dreams, you're living it. And that's how kids learn the most. They don't learn the most from us saying things. They learn the most from what we do. The research is super clear. It is how we role model. Plus, as the Dalai Lama said, the world is going to be saved by women. It was so beautifully said. The world is going to be saved by women. He actually said, in particular, Western women, but I believe all women, because we know from research that when women have an increased advantage in education or the economy, it spreads to their children more so than men. And so as women, when we step into our biggest selves, when we step into our biggest potential, we have the major influence on children. It says, we know this from the research, we have the major influence on household. We know this from the research. We actually have the major influence on the economy because we buy more. We buy more birthday gifts and more holiday gifts. So, and we buy more household goods. This is why if every woman just decided, I am not going to buy a single product that rips on women in order to sell it, right? That says that aging is bad or that tries to make us feel bad for having wrinkles or tries to make us feel like we need to be skinnier. If every woman just said, I'm not going to buy from a single company that does that, we would immediately change not only our body positivity and image, we would immediately change those companies' missions and we would immediately change our world. So women make the greatest difference. And the biggest thing that we could do for anybody else is actually to pursue our own dreams, our own purpose. In particular, women can benefit from finding their purpose because we know that women suffer from depression twice as much as men. And it's been reported that women's happiness has been declining over the last 30 years. So as women who are taking care of everyone else, what we actually know is that when we are contributing to something that is our own, we start to assert our power. We start to feel more meaningful. And then we start really making a difference. And listen, you can pursue your purpose as work that you're paid for. You could pursue it in volunteering. You could pursue it as a side gig. The key is that you are pursuing what lights you up in a way that makes you filled with pride. So as I was doing the process that I'm going to share with you in just a moment, what I discovered is that my purpose is to inspire, encourage, and empower every woman alive to feel alive. And feeling alive includes knowing what brings you joy, what makes you feel flirty and fun and feminine, as well as knowing your special gifts and talents. And my belief is that you have been given everything in your life for your purpose. So I know I'm a high energy person, right? People tell me all the time that my energy is contagious. Well, it needs to be. If you're going to be a podcaster, you're going to be a speaker, you need to have that energy. I also know I've been given a lot of challenges in life, whether it was being abused by my first love at 17, the divorce I went through at 26, losing a dear friend who drowned in front of my eyes and I couldn't save him, or having the miscarriages. I've had to be courageous over and over and over in life. And people tell me that my being courageous, my talking about it, my being vulnerable inspires them. And so I realized that every moment of my life and everything about me, all of my strengths, all of my gifts, all of my personality, and all of the pain that I've been through has specifically been for the purpose of inspiring and encouraging you. Inspiring and encouraging, empowering you to take the big and small risks to discover your own purpose, follow your own heart, pursue your own passions as your life works so that you feel happy and fulfilled. And I believe that your life, every moment of your life, every experience, every joy and every pain has led to exactly what you need to live your own purpose too. And the fact is, we know from research that when you don't know who you are, you don't know your best gifts, you don't know what your talents are, you don't know what lights you up, you don't have a way that you are uniquely leaving your own mark. Of course, you are uniquely leaving an amazing legacy with your kids or your family, your neighborhood. But if you are feeling like I was at the beginning when I shared with you, that it's not your exact thing, that there is some other way. There are other gifts. There are other passions. Something inside of you is calling, please, I'm not happy. Please, I want to be alive. Then we have to take this seriously, because when you are not pursuing that, research shows that we have that sense of meaninglessness and we have that sense of depression. And frankly, my love, you were not put on this earth for depression. And by that, I don't mean that you might not have a chemical imbalance, an issue with depression, and you suffering from depression is part of your purpose. Because it's not staying down in the depression. It's saying, I'm someone who has suffered from depression, and I have. This is true for me. I suffered from depression and anxiety my entire life. And so that is part of my purpose, is then to say, how can I work with it? How can I live with that? How can I still live my best life with it? And then teach others to do the same. Our lives matter. Your life matters. You are here for purpose, and you are not alone. You have me as your coach. You have a community in the Purpose Girls Facebook group. You have courses that are available over on purposegirl.com. You are not alone in figuring this out. And my God, woman, it is so worth it. So when I was stuck and not sure, how do I move forward? What is my purpose? I don't know who I am. I needed something. I needed some sort of intervention. But frankly, I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know where to start. And so I actually ended up joining a course. I needed help. I know it should seem like we all know who we are, but it doesn't, right? I know it seems like you get to be 30, 40, 50, 60, and you should know what lights you up, but we don't. And the reason we don't is that when we were younger, right, our 2-year-old self or our 5-year-old self or our 10-year-old self knew exactly what lit us up. And then throughout time, people's opinions started covering that up. Maybe you knew that, as one of my clients knew, that pursuing precious gems lit her up. The world then said, well, what kind of job is that? Well, someone's doing it, right? But so she didn't necessarily pursue that dream. Or for me, I had wanted to major in creative writing. And my dad said, writers don't make any money. Well, someone does. Elizabeth Gilbert makes money. J.K. Rowling makes money. And you can become a writer within a corporation, right? And that makes money. So there are writers who make money. So we do know who we are when we're young, and it gets covered up. And then because it gets covered up, and then we start taking on other responsibilities, and others have expectations of us, and we need to put food on the table, we forget. And it's that forgetting that actually makes us feel dry and dull. And so the process to discover our purpose, I needed help. I joined a course. This is many years ago. This is probably, 15 years ago. I'm not sure, maybe 10 or 15 years ago. And the course did a few things for me. One, it gave me the guidance. It gave me someone who was helping me because I didn't know what to do. Number two, it gave me other people, community that was part of it, that we could kind of grapple through the questions and connect on it and discuss together. And we need that. It also gave me accountability. Right? That I had to take radical accountability, radical responsibility for my own happiness. And then it also gave me the answers that I was looking for. And here's what I learned in that course and then have developed on my own. A purpose process for us Purpose Girls, for us women. Number one, my love, you must slow down. You must choose. I believe that happiness comes down to 2 words, and those 2 words are I choose. And so you must choose that you are worth it to take time, to take a course or take investment and slow it down. Time for you to actually pause. Because what happens is, and I use this analogy with my client who loves precious gems, that a precious gem over time, right? Ice Age comes, there's a beautiful precious gem sitting on a hillside somewhere. And then dirt comes and dust comes, and then she added in the Ice Age comes, whatever comes, avalanche comes, and all of a sudden that precious gem is covered up and inside of a huge boulder, and you can't see that precious gem anymore. But it's still in there. It's just been covered up and built up over time, covered up by all this other crap. And so we have to take a chisel to it, and we've got to start chiseling away until we get back down to that gem. And that's why we have to slow down. We have to choose that we're going to take, whether it's an hour a week for you to work with a coach, or a few hours on a weekend for you to go through a course, you have to choose to slow down and get mindful. The only way is to pause, right? Otherwise, you're just adding more stuff on top of that precious gem. But if you really want to live your purpose, if you really want to end up at your 80th birthday saying what it is that you say you want about yourself, then give yourself this gift and show your kids. Bring them along on the journey. Say, Mama has dreams too. And so I'm going to pause and I'm going to take a half hour. Give them a video or ask someone to watch. Do a trade with another mom. I'll watch your kids for 2 hours. You watch mine for 2 hours. All things are possible. We don't say I can't around here at the Purpose Girls podcast. We say, how can I? So number one is you got to slow down and get mindful. When you slow down, I know all sorts of things can come to your mind, like your laundry list or like your, grocery list or all the things that you've done wrong. Breathe through it. But we got to take that time for yourself to slow down, because that is when you start being open and aware. And we have to be able to be open and aware to be able to see the things that we can't currently see. When you are in the craziness of the mind and the doing and the gotta do and go, you literally cannot see. You literally cannot see what's right in front of you. So we have to slow down. Number two is in that place then where you have chosen, right? You're telling the universe, you're telling the goddess, I choose. Now you'll start to notice inspired moments, epiphanies, if you will. And these come from intuition, right? So women have this great gift of intuition. And intuition is magic, and it's not. It's that we have this personality that we're born with. And then in our youth, we know all the things that make us light up and excited. And even if they got covered up, when you then start to experience those or see those in some way in life, your intuition goes, oh, I love that. Oh, that looks fun. And so you might see another woman doing something that looks interesting, or your child starting to color and you crave coloring. Or this woman that I spoke to in her 20s this week, dancing. Oh, I love dancing, right? But then we kind of poo-poo it. We say, I don't have time for that. But that intuition. So it's kind of the result of your body keeping track of what lights you up. So then we start to notice that we have these inspired moments or epiphanies. But normally when those happen is like I said, we discard them, we disregard them, we poo-poo them. And instead, we have to start taking them seriously. We have to start noticing, tracking them, writing them down, getting curious. So here's the thing. That's the next step. Number 3 is to be curious. Too many times we're looking for purpose. We're like, I don't know my purpose. I don't know where to start. And then you're in your fight, flight, stress mode. And that's not going to get you anywhere. Curiosity instead is this positive, attentive, fun exploration, right? There's a whole stuffed animal and cartoon called Curious George because he's fun. He's curious. Ooh, let me get curious. Let me get curious about when I most love being myself. Let me get curious about what inspires me. Let me get curious. And it's a mind shift that might sound minor, but we actually know from the research that when you are in a state of curiosity, you're in a state of positivity. And that state of positivity reacts differently with your brain because that fun, flirty exploration, what happens then is that in brain scans, your brain now is open to see more, open to make more connections. And what you want to get curious about is positivity. Let me get curious about, like I said, what inspires me. Let me get curious about when I felt proud of myself. Let me get curious about happiness. And it's getting curious. And you don't necessarily get the answers right away, but it's this curiosity around positivity. And then you want to shift into curiosity around your strengths. Ooh, who am I at my best? Ooh, what is good about me? Now, too often, especially in the women's brain, we shut down strengths. We shut down what's best about me because we've been told don't brag, don't speak nice about yourself, that people don't like that. And I'm calling bullshit on all that here at the Purpose Girl Podcast. Okay, so no more of that. We've got to get curious. What is best about me? And what I'll do with my clients is sometimes I'll survey their friends, their colleagues. I'll give them exercises to go through and discover their strengths. But this is hugely important, knowing what is best about you. Getting curious about what I call a peak experience. Actually, Abraham Maslow called it a peak experience when you were in a moment where like the stars aligned and it was a moment of transcendence and awe. And that peak experience, if you look back at your life, there are times when you have felt so alive, when you felt so juiced. Like one of those peak experiences for me, when I was in high school, I ran a Jewish youth group. And it was not doing very well when I started. We were allowed to have 40 members in it, and we had 20. And so I went on this recruitment binge. I was a junior in high school and, found all these freshmen to join. And then they became my little ducklings that I would mentor and support and love all over. And do you see the connection between that and what I do now as your coach and as coaching women to discover their purpose and taking women on retreat to discover the goddess inside of themselves? Like, hello, ding, ding, ding. That experience in high school was a peak experience. I loved it. And then I went on in college and I ran Sorority Rush for my entire university. There were 1,000 women at my university, University of Michigan, go blue, 1,000 women that went through Rush. And it was the same thing. I had all these little Rushies to guide and to support. Peak experience. And when we look back at our peak experiences, we might start to notice themes. A woman came to me, a coaching client, where she had 5 completely different peak experiences. One was tutoring her Japanese neighbor. The daughter was 5 and didn't speak English. And so she would tutor her and help her for free. And it was a peak experience. And then she had a different peak experience at work where she was guiding her team and doing a project. But within that, we found a theme of supporting and helping others. And so you never know from your peak experiences, and something I love working with clients, because even when you get your peak experiences, you might not be able to find the themes. And that's why having an external person be able to look at them and kind of work with you on it, whether it's in a course or in a group or a coach, can really help. Then you want to start getting curious about, what have the turning points in my life been? The moments when I shifted, either for what you might consider the positive or negative. They teach so much. You want to get curious about your values. What's most important to you? What's most important to you? And there are exercises I love taking my clients through, but you can find exercises online. Knowing your own values. What's your own guiding light? What's priority for you? Getting curious about what lights you up and is passionate. Sometimes we have to look to other people for that. What do we get jealous of other women over? Or what do you regret? You can discover your own passions. And then getting curious about what all the pain in your life has taught you. What's your wisdom to share? Like I mentioned, my client in her 60s, and how her sharing that with other women really was purposeful for her. So we get curious. And as we get curious, we start to notice themes. We start to really get a sense of who you are. And then you can start saying, my purpose is to create, to support. For me, it's to inspire. For one of my clients, it's to help others feel beautiful. And she does that with her children, boy and girl. And she does that in her work. And she does that in her side hustle. She has a side hustle as a coach, and she works in design. So she has applied it in all these different ways. And that's when we start going, now, how do I apply this? As work, as volunteering, with my family, with my friends? What are all the ways I might want to apply this at any point in my life, knowing, God willing, I've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ahead of me? And then we commit to taking one teeny tiny step now. And that's how we do it. And I'm telling you, my loves, I could not have done this alone. I created this process. I went to the course, and then I needed to create this process using my master's degree in positive psychology because I couldn't figure it out alone. I did a course, and then I hired a coach. And when the first time I talked to a coach and he told me what the prices for coaching were, I fell off my chair. I was like, no. And then a month or 2 later, I wasn't making any progress. So I called him back and I was like, okay, I need help, right? I was still reading my self-help book, still listening to audios like this, but I wasn't doing it. And that's when I needed the accountability. I couldn't see what I couldn't see. It's hard to do alone. And that's why I urge you, go through this process and don't do it alone. Join the Purpose Girls Facebook group. Take the online course. Get some coaching from me or from another professional. Let yourself live the way that you were born to live. What is that worth to you? I mean, what is your happiness worth to you? What is purpose worth to you? What is you having what you desire at your 80th birthday party worth to you? Because sometimes when you hear about a course, you go, oh, I don't want to spend the money on that. Or you hear about a coach, you go, oh, okay. Or you hear about a retreat, oh, I can't afford that. How can we not afford it? I get it. I mean, so far this year, I've paid $6,000 for the coaching that I've gotten, and we're only halfway through the year. So I get it. But how can we not afford it when we are building the legacy that is going to change the lives of everyone we know and everyone we love? How can we not afford it? Let yourself have the opportunity. You are worthy of living your legacy. You are worthy. And your family and your friends are worthy. And this world needs you. Because what I know is right now, our world is in a ton of chaos, a ton of challenge, a ton of hatred. And every woman is here to raise the vibration of the world. Every woman is here to be love in the world. Every woman is here to be fierce compassion, fierce talent, fierce up-leveling of this whole world. And that's what we're doing here. And I believe in you to do it. I hope you loved this episode. I hope you live your purpose. I want to hear from you. Email me, send me a note, tell me where you are in the process, how you're feeling, what your purpose is. If you need help, whatever it is, I am here for you. I want to hear from you. Go on over to purposegirl.com, send me a message. Go on over to Facebook, join the Purpose Girls Facebook group. You back at purposegirl.com, get the Living on Purpose course. Do something for you. I hope you loved this episode. Please go on over to Apple Podcasts, rate it 5 stars, leave that 1-sentence review. It's helping women all over the world find us. Of course, go on over to Instagram, follow me at Karen Rockhind, and join the newsletter over at purposegirl.com. And most importantly, please share this podcast with every woman that you know and love. That's how we're changing the world, one woman at a time. And we got this. So may you live purposefully, may you love yourself, and may you love life. Bye for now.